Welcome to the first episode of Once It Clicked. I'm your host, Greg Horry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the artisan, creator, and chief keycap maker behind Bad Habit Caps. Over the past several years, I've sculpted numerous designs and resin casted thousands of artisan keycaps, many of which I've been fortunate to share with people in the mechanical keyboard community. I continue to practice my craft by experimenting with new mediums of artistic expression, and I'm excited to learn more with this podcast. My goal is to explore the stories and design processes of fellow makers and creators in this hobby and potentially beyond. In this podcast, we will have in-depth conversational interviews with artisan keycap makers, designers, innovators, community builders, and everybody in between. Through these conversations, I hope to bridge the gap between the larger mechanical keyboard community and connect you with the artists and creators in this hobby. Who are these people? How did they find this unique space? When was the moment they decided to dive in? What does a design process look like, starting from an idea and then making a finished product? I hope to glean actionable insights with each conversation for you to apply in your life or to inspire your own creative ventures. I will explore the techniques and strategies, ideas, and motivations each of my guests applies to develop themselves and their craft. Without further ado, I am happy to kick off this new journey with my first episode. Please enjoy. Yo, Vincent, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Yo, thanks for having me, man.
I'm excited to dive into so many things. I wanted to start by asking you about a picture I saw on your Instagram about a year ago at the beginning of quarantine. And in this photo, I remember seeing two people. It was you next to another person in medical scrubs. Both of you had masks on and were standing behind a cart that was stacked full of food. Tell me the story behind this photo.
I almost forgot about this. That's how long ago COVID feels, like this whole experience. Yeah, so that was my girlfriend. It's actually the local hospital, like 5 minutes down the road that's in my town. But essentially, that was one of the charity raffles, where basically the proceeds to that raffle, it all went to lunch, like a big lunch for the hospital staff. And that was mainly the OR area and the emergency room area. That's who we fed. So it was pretty cool. It was really cool.
Where did you get the idea to do a charity raffle and donate all of this food for these people?
I don't know, man. I to be honest with you, when it comes to like charity kind of stuff, it's something I've always wanted to do. Like I always wanted to do it, but I just never had the means. Like I could always like chip in here and there, like for random stuff, but like I was never able to offer, a lot of stuff financially, but this community has kind of allowed that to happen.
That's one of the main reasons why I was excited to talk with you for this first episode, because I feel like that ethic of community service and giving back is unique.
It's not easy. Like it's not like every job you can kind of do that. I know, for example, like my full-time job, I don't have the means to necessarily, spend a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. It just doesn't work like that. If I did, I would, man. So it really wouldn't change anything. It just so happens, keycaps is the avenue I have to do that,
The fact that you recognize this within yourself and then also act on that is very admirable. But you mentioned two things. Your job and keycaps, and I'm eager to dive into both. But can you tell me what you do for full time?
Sure. So some people know this, but I guess most people don't. I'm a fully licensed mental health clinician. So sounds long and confusing. It's not. I just talk to people and I listen. Really, that's pretty much it.
What drove you to this career? Were there specific motivations? Is this something that you had wanted to do for like since a kid?
I always knew I wanted to do something in the helping field per se. I didn't know if it was going to be mental health. I didn't know if it was going to be physical. Like I always originally like was thinking physical therapy or occupational therapy. One of the therapies. My mom's a special ed teacher, so I've had exposure to all types of, DSM diagnoses, kids, students, basically my whole life. I worked, my first real job was working in a school as like a teacher's assistant. I had nonverbal kids who were like super aggressive and like it was really tough. But I from 15 or 16, I basically worked in mental health. I mean, I've done some other stuff too, but I always knew I wanted to do something with helping or giving back. That's not on me, man. That's on my mom. she gave that to me.
Yeah, you said that your mom works in this field and you absorbed that from her. Is that something that she explicitly taught you, or was it more by example?
She not necessarily taught, but it's more of, seeing. It's always nice seeing good people. You can it's a hard thing to explain, but like some people have just a good heart, and seeing that makes you want to kind of go along and just like I can do that too. I want to do that. So to this day, my mom's still a special ed teacher, dude. She the population she works with is like I could never. Like she's that much. I mean, her kids are extremely sick. They're all mainly on, ventilators, super, super, disabled, nonverbal. Her kids are super young too. I think she's like first graders now too. But I mean, these are kids who their lives are very limited. For as long as they have. I mean, she has had many students pass, and which is expected. It's not like these are unexpected things, but it's just like it really puts perspective on life. And I don't know, man. It really is a tough one. I'm very emotional, but like I said, I always knew I wanted to do something helping, I got my degree. I actually have a master's. I'm fully licensed, so like I can offer private practice, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I'm really just a big kid in my basement. like that's all I am. I'm nothing special.
There are definitely times where I feel the same way as just a grown-up kid messing around with.
Yeah, man. Project. I know. I feel like a little kid playing with Play-Doh. Like that's basically what I have.
Dude, that's the beauty about artisan keycaps, so which we'll definitely dive into. I wanted to ask, did you have any memories of being exposed to what your mom did, or is this something that you kind of just?
I could. You grew up. I could definitely tell you one experience for sure. I mean, I so many stories. We could fill this, podcast with just mental health stuff. But I remember my first job. I was working with a nonverbal student, so he doesn't speak. His IQ is, significantly less than average. I don't know the best way to, the most appropriate way to say that, but like, very special needs. Kid can't write, kid can't talk, nothing. The whole summer, and this was on me as a teacher's assistant. This is not in the kid's IEP or anything like that. I wanted this kid to write his name. All I wanted to do wasn't. They were like, it's not possible. Don't worry about it. I wanted to do it after the whole summer, and I took a couple minutes here at lunch. It's like, come with me, come on, let's practice. And I would do that over the hand. Eventually, he was able to write his name. It was the coolest thing ever. And, I think that is definitely part of wow, I took my time to do this one goal and I did it. I was able to do it. It was sick. It was the coolest thing ever. Again, this is 15 years ago at this point, so it's if I still remember it like it was yesterday. So that's pretty awesome.
Yo, that's beautiful. And I'm actually, I saw this in you too, your willingness to help and your willingness to teach with a video that you posted a while back too, which we'll dive into. I'm curious, kind of before we even start talking about keycaps, if you have any memories of early influences of, say, art in your life, or be it music, drawings.
Yeah, absolutely. so my grandma was an artist. Like I mean, she did many things. She was a pastor, she was a musician, but she was an artist. She always had art stuff. She had an art studio. She had all this cool stuff. So like I was always like messing around. Like I never actually played with like clay or anything like that. I used to draw. Like I was the kid in the class who was always good at drawing, but I didn't do anything. Like I wasn't like an art major, or like I don't have any like pre-existing art skill. I kind of just like when it comes to artisans, like I just winged it. Like I have no idea what I was doing. Still don't, but like, so she was definitely she was everything when it comes to art. You know, I have like over here in my basement, I could show you later too. It's like I have like this collage of like her stuff and my stuff like combined. She's passed on at this point, but yeah, for 100% her. And I always think about keycaps, and I always like, damn, she would just be not proud, but like, or I would say proud actually. I was gonna say impressed, not even impressed, just proud. Like how cool this is, how unique it is, you know, the amount of time and effort I put in. I think she would just love it. Like I still have all her art supplies, like right next to my keycap stuff. Like I keep it there as a reminder. You know, it's 100% like the motivation behind like my stuff.
I'm sure if she was able to see how her passion translated and inspired you, that would definitely instill
exactly that. So that you can thank her for that stuff, or anybody who likes my stuff, you can thank her.
You are well established as an artisan keycap maker. I was wondering actually first what might be helpful for those who may be new to the hobby. How would you explain what artisan keycaps are?
Oh God, you're already gonna put me in some muddy water here. So for me specifically, artisan keycaps, you know, are fun little things that you can put on your keyboard. I'll keep it that simple. So most people look at an escape key and that's what they think of. So I kind of changed that a little bit because poly is typically on a TKL board, but yeah, it's, you know, a fun little thing you put on your keyboard. It's kind of I don't know. It just gives it personality. It's fun, you know. I don't know. It's just cool. It's something I didn't know about for the longest time, you know. And then when I did, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, obviously the art is huge in my opinion. That's a big part of it. But it's a very large category, I think, at this point. It's not just one thing.
It's funny. That's a question I often have struggled answering to when different people ask me. So I was curious to hear what your take was.
Dude, it's so hard explaining to like family though. In this setting, like sure, it's, you know, I can say it like this, but when it's like, what do you mean you make keycaps? I'm like, you know, like I was at like the doctor's the other day and they're like, what do you mean you make keycaps? I'm like, you know what a keyboard is? It's like I put little things on them.
You mean like the one you play instruments for? Or
yeah,
like,
dude, seriously,
like
people don't get it. And then they're like, wait, you could take those off? Like,
yes.
like, yes, but it has to be a mechanical keyboard. Wait, what's a mechanical keyboard?
What about my Mac?
Yeah, pretty much, right? Can you put them on a laptop? Like, yeah, if you want to break the screen. Like, it's mad funny. It is a weird type of thing. It's very niche. It's really cool when it comes to like, it really incorporates a lot of the things I like. I'm actually looking at the Kisa cap and the fin cap because I was taking pictures here. I don't know if you can see. Oh, I can't even unplug my keyboard. I'll do it anyway. But
yeah, your two newest designs.
Yeah, but it's just funny because like Kisa was just walking underneath my feet. You know, I'm talking to you and I'm just staring at like Kisa and Finn. It's just, you know, it's cool because certain caps, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this, and colorways and stuff, brings out something really cool, you know? So it's a cool thing. It's a very cool thing. Yeah.
Tell me about how you found mechanical keyboards in Artisan.
So I had a buddy at the time. He kind of introduced me, and he's like, "Hey, you should like look into this. You would be good at this. It's like kind of a couple things that you're good at. And it seems like something you might like, and you know, you should try it." And essentially, I was like, "All right, like I don't have that much time, but I guess." And I was working full time, and I was also working a part-time job. So yeah, my one buddy introduced me. He's like, you should give it a shot. Like I said, I didn't have much time at the time, which I still don't actually. I feel like I have less time, but essentially, I was like, all right, cool. Like I'll look it up. And I remember like the first thing I ever looked up was a picture of Jack Bald by Art Key. And it was in the carbon colorway. That was the first like Google image picture like I ever saw of a keycap. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Like, well, that's really cool. So that's kind of how I was introduced to it.
Once you saw the Jack Bald art keycap, which we can link to in the description for the show notes, just so people have a idea, cool. As well as all the things that we've mentioned before. Yeah, once you found this, where did you go from there?
I ordered. We can go into a fun story with this. Actually, I ordered, or I actually picked it up, I guess, at like Michael's. Clay, obviously, but I use Monster Clay now. At the time, I was using Sculpey. That's it. So I literally picked up Sculpey, and I was like, all right, I'll mess with this, I guess, for a little bit, and I'll put it the simplest way possible. It took me roughly 3 months to be happy with BBroot before I ever like started casting, and this one of the reasons why I switched from Sculpey to Monster Clay, and which neither is good, better or worse. I'm not promoting one over the other. It's not like I sponsored or anything like that. Shout out Monster Clay.
Not yet.
But I remember I was so happy with one of the BBroots I made. I mean, I would go home from work, so my typical 8-hour day, and I would say 3 of the nights I would also work a part-time job. I would do outpatient counseling, and I would work all Saturday too. On top of, I worked a lot. Like I was like, I don't recommend this, but I would go home, I would lay on my bed with like The Office on, and I would just mess around with clay. Like literally, that's what I did for like 3 months. And I was like, I remember like I'd spend like 6 hours or like 3 hours. I was like, this looks sick. And they're like, I don't like it. I smush it. I'm like, no. Like, or I drop it. I remember specifically once I've dropped a cap and it like dented it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, bro, are you serious? Like, I can't make this up. But I was finally happy with one of the BBroots. I was so happy. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, oh my God, I'm finally going to be able to like mold it. So I put it in the little oven thingy. I literally went to the bathroom, came back. I didn't know you couldn't bake Sculpey at the time, or whatever I used. I don't know if it was Sculpey or whatever, but whatever substance I used as clay, it was melted into the bottom of the thing, man. And it was 2 glow-in-the-dark BBs just sitting in a puddle of mush.
Oh, and
I was so sad and angry at the same time because I spent hours.
All that work.
And this is like the old way of me doing it, where it's like if I didn't like something, I would start from scratch. Like I don't do that anymore. But yeah, man, hours, and then literally like a puddle with 2 BBs. Like I was like, are you kidding? Like I what? Dude, it was nuts. I was so mad. So yeah,
dude, that's a disaster.
Yeah, it sucks. I actually had a leaf on that BBroot too. It was kind of cool.
Ooh, extra detail.
Yeah, it was an extra thing I could add for colorways. I thought it was a good idea.
So then you have this melted pile of all of your days, hours of effort. How did you pick things back up and start working on new clay?
Well, I didn't put anything in the oven anymore. But I also had like, again, I knew nothing. Like I literally knew nothing. I mean, I still don't know too much. I kind of just experiment with so much stuff, and certain things come out amazing and certain things just don't work at all. But like, I remember like the next like couple sculpts that I did that I liked, I molded, and like the mold and in the pressure pot, like I mixed the silicone wrong, and like then that whole thing was ruined, or I guess the compression of the air squished the cap. Like there was all of these like hiccups just learning how to do this. I mean, it was not easy. Like I said, from start to starting, like having clay and having my first actual sculpt done, it took 3 months. And this is like me. I'm telling you, like this is me literally every night on my bed messing with clay for 3 months. And you know what BBroot is? It's literally just a little dude with two BBs. I mean, there's detail and stuff like that, but like you have to take in consideration. It can't rub. It can't be too big. It can't be too small. It can't be too tall. Like there's so much that goes into this little tiny medium. It's ridiculous until you start doing it. Like I don't know how certain people do certain things. Like it's so impressive. Like your stuff is crazy too. Like it's insane. It's so cool.
I think what you said about the experimental nature and kind of trial by fire highlights exactly kind of the mentality behind getting into making.
I think it has to be, and then once you have a system down, for example, like I have a system down now for specific things, and I know I don't have to stress too much about certain things, but I'm learning every day. Like it's really cool. And I got, good friends and people in the community sharing some info and hey, you should try it like that or try it like that, or this or that or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, holy crap. What, Sapling's, tips on his hair, like, the green part. I was doing that as a complete shot. Now I'm doing like the brushing technique where it like fades in the mica powder. It looks so good. Do you know what I'm talking about?
In the details, instead of pouring resin, you're brushing mica powder?
Yes. So for the tips of Sapling V2, that is actually brushed mica powder. It's called a dusting, according to Loki. You guys know Loki. Shout out to Loki. We'll probably talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, so it's literally like I take this little tiny brush, I turn the mold over, I put the mica powder on the tip of the brush. You should try this, by the way, if you haven't. You can do some cool stuff. And then basically I go into the mold and I paint in the mold with powder. So you get this very smooth transition of color. It's the way you do it. Well, it depends how you do it, but the way I do it, it's like this really, like, it's really pretty, as opposed to like a shot that stops, another shot that stops, or like, how you could do resin differently with different, but this way it looks beautiful for the tips. Like it's fantastic.
Dude, you just put me on to something new through Loki.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, it changes the game for certain. Again, it's not like this. It's for certain things and for certain details. It's a really cool thing. I like it.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to experiment. Watch my next 10 colorways be mica powder with brush strokes.
Just make sure they're orange and black so I can enter.
Oh, carbon, easy. I got you.
That's the only way I can afford keycaps is if I buy one color.
We'll definitely get into the affordability, but back to what you said, I was curious. You mentioned that you have different systems that you found helpful for your making. Can you give an example of one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I actually do now, and I don't know if you do this, you might do this. I mean, to me, it's like the thing I have to do at this point, especially after the story with, my poor BBroot who melted at the bottom of an oven. I basically do save points. Like if you're on Microsoft Word and you're typing a paper or something, you would save, right? Like a smart person would save.
Word.
So what I'll do is I'll get far enough in the sculpt and I'll be like, all right, I know I'm going to sneeze or I'm going to drop it or I'm going to screw something up. So I will make a mold. I will literally make a mold of whatever I have, the progress, right? So this is the weird part. And I don't think everybody does this. Actually, probably most people don't. So I'll make a mold of where I'm at. I will then do, so you got to I wait the 24 hours for the mold. Like it's a pain in the butt. And it's also a lot more money kind of in material because silicone is damn expensive.
Adds up.
Yeah, it does, especially when you're crazy like I am, and do this way too often. But essentially, like, I'll make a mold of my save point. I will then do a one shot. I like to use gray. Gray, to me, I can see the most detail. So then I'll have literally a resin version of what I was at that was originally in clay. Then I will literally add clay to that one shot. And I'll do this like, I don't even want to tell you how many times I've done this with Scout, but like, I'll do this 10, 15, 50 times until I'm happy. And I could always go back to a save point and be like, I don't like the direction. I'm going back to, 3 steps before. That's what I do. It's kind of crazy, but yeah.
Yo, save point. That makes so much sense.
it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of smart, but it's also because I'm stupid. So that's why I do it.
I mean, it gives you the room for error, and like
Absolutely.
you said, if you
you don't have that. Like again, it's not like you can just, especially when it comes to clay, you can't just like, okay, there's no undo button, there's no edit. It is what it is. So for me, it just made sense. It was smart. It took a lot more time. Like I said, it took a lot more material, but it also gave me avenues to be like, I'm going to try it this way on this one, and I'm going to try it this way on that one. So I'm like, okay, this one sucked. This one's cool. Yeah, man. I don't know how anybody else can do it differently at this point. After me doing that for so long, it blows my mind if people could do it in like one sitting. I mean, it's literally taken me like, I could look at my original picture of Scout, but like it's probably been like 8 months of me doing this back and forth. And this is not like I'll do it once a month. Like this is like me doing this multiple times a week, like for months. Like I'm crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, look how small these things are. But yeah, so anybody listening who's into trying out stuff like that's what I did. It's what I do currently, and I will probably never switch away from that. I think it's just safe. It's safe, smart, and it makes sense.
It does make sense, especially being able to have those save points, as you said.
Tell me you never did that.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned. I did do that for, let's see, I did something really similar for both my graduate cap, which is like a little bear, and for my shade cap, which is like a keycap profile.
That one's so sick, dude. Every time you post a picture, I'm like, please be carbon, please be carbon, please be carbon, and it's not. I was like, God darn it! It's so. Now
that you say that, it's easy. Add it to the list. Consider.
Oh yeah, top list, man.
bumped.
So I want to know about how you did it.
So
you did do that.
I did, and it's funny because I did it backwards, where instead of backwards is a weird way to put it. Let me explain. So I created the sculpt, and then I made my save point with the mold.
Okay.
Instead of building on top of it, I would sand it or drill into it.
Oh yeah, I do. So I do that too.
Oh, I was gonna ask.
I Dremel. I do a lot of Dremel work. So
okay.
I probably should have said that. I forgot about that. So when I have a resin one shot, I will take a micro Dremel or whatever they're called. They're like $20. You know what I'm talking? It's like a little pen.
Like the hand tool.
Yeah, I think it's actually an engraver.
Oh, even smaller.
I think technically it's an engraver. So like people at a hospital who like want their like whatever the thing is. What is that even called? I almost said telescope or stethoscope.
Some small instrument. I would.
Yeah, or you could do it on like a band thing. So like it's you engrave your name so someone doesn't steal it. Essentially, that's what I use. It's like this tiny little engraver.
Oh, weird.
But yeah, so I'll do that, which I actually have to go buy AAA batteries because I ran out.
Yes.
I think I do it too much. But yeah, I do that on the resin, and then I'll add clay, and then I'll do back and forth, like between clay work and micro dremeling or whatever you want to call it, and sanding and buffing and just back and forth, man. Like literally. And I'll use different types of clay too. At different points as well. I don't know if that's helpful for people, but like, how there's soft, medium, hard.
Yes.
So depending on what I'm trying to achieve or do, I will use a different type of clay. But I love using the Dremel. I love it. Or clippers. It honestly all depends on what we're talking about, like what sculpt.
Yeah.
But I use the Dremel quite a bit. It's actually mad fun. Like
you mentioned Scout.
Yeah.
You mentioned Scout. And one major part of the design process when you're creating is being able to accept your work and say it's completed. How do you think about that? And like what factors into your decision of making sure that you have a master ready to go?
Well, I feel like it's never done, no matter what cap we're talking about, to be honest with you. There's always little things. I mean, I think we all see that. I mean, I have OCD, so it makes it even worse. Because like I'm like, wait a second, I want to fix that. I want to change that. And Mike's a good person to. He yells at me every day. He's like, "Can you stop with Scout? He's done. He's perfect. Leave him alone." Like I can't. I have to change one more thing. But there's also shout out Mike. There's also a difference between like knowing when it's done and then knowing that there could be possible like errors or situations where like the cap could be too thin or the design is flawed for like as a keycap. I've had that issue with Scout before too, where the teeth are too close to the base, where you could basically pop a hole in it, and I'm like, I don't want that. If someone's purchasing something of mine, it should not break. Like that should not be a problem. I had that issue with the ear at one point. I had that issue with like Scout. These are all ones I did not release. These are all things like I tested, like I tested Scout specifically. He's one of the smaller caps I have, for sure. I mean, if you look at Sapling, like he's massive, like in a cool way. I mean, I have him angled specifically so he doesn't rub. Like yeah. So he looks huge, but he's actually not. He's more complicated. I feel like all my stuff is I made it more complicated than it needed to be. But Sapling's cool with the angle of his hair. Like it literally is this cool curve. So he appears to be this massive keycap, which he is, but he's angled so you could technically put him on like your H key and he won't rub. Basically, I'm a genius.
I see it.
No, but like a sculpt is never done, man. I hate to say it, but there's a point where you're like, I'm happy, and that's what it is. It's to me, it's when I'm happy. And this is the best way to put it for myself. I'm my own boss when it comes to Rathcaps. It's me. If I want to make something, I make it. If I don't, I don't. So if I'm happy with the cap, I'm happy with the cap. If I'm not, I keep working. I don't have a boss. It's just myself. This is the best part. That's why I love it so much.
It's beautiful. It's part of what makes it so great to be able to create and realize your own ideas and be able to share them too.
Yeah. That's definitely the best part is having other people receive these things and people telling me stories. I remember, actually, this is pretty cool. This is kind of goes back into the first part of this, but somebody reached out to me and they said their son and then went to KeyCon, and I could be messing this up slightly, so I'm going to do my best to get this exact, but they went to one of the KeyCon conventions, and this is when I was like mad early on. Like, I guess this was, not this year, I guess 2019 maybe, I forget, but there was like a place a cap, take a cap kind of thing. All I know is this, that their son had, I guess, major anxiety. He was also on the spectrum, so he had autism, and he saw my baby root or BBroot Bart one, BB Bart or whatever I called it. Do you ever see that one? It's like the yellow one. Yeah, it's so old, man. It's so old. He saw this and he's like, I guess he's like, oh, it's Bart and it's Groot. This is cool. He was able to get that cap. I guess they traded or whatever. They had a great time at the convention. It kind of brought him like comfort. And I was like, first off, that's amazing. This is something we can get into later on because like we'll talk about this probably at some point of full-time artisans and stuff like that. But I was like, this really kind of combined therapy, like stuff I do for a living, and art. Like, and it like not necessarily art therapy, but it's like this kind of comfort. It was a cool story to get. I think I have the screenshots in here too of like, I just want to reach out and say thank you for, what you do. I'm like, what? So I thought that was really cool. Really, really cool.
That seems like the perfect intersection of your two major influences and motivations.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's just, yeah, it's a thing I'm trying to explore of how it can be combined possibly in the future. I'm not too sure. We'll probably get into that a little bit more, but yeah, it was a good story. I thought it was nice.
Oh, well, that is a good story. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
You bring up a good point, and this is something that I've actually been reflecting on a lot about, and I really want to credit you when I saw that first photo of shifting my mentality, because when I first started with my craft and trying to make my art, I was really focused on myself. right? Like I want to make my own keycaps. I want to build my own business. And when I saw you do that charity drive, it shook me and realized that there's this potential to have a positive impact and engage other people in a completely different way. So
absolutely.
I guess it's just like a thank you for like putting me on to that. And I mean, that's also been a huge motivation for me to go forward with this podcast experiment.
Yeah, man. I listen, the more people that are, I mean, I think there might be a small group of people who are mad at me for putting a how-to video, but like realistically, like I remember watching Glenn the Black or however you want to say. He's got different names on different platforms, but
TTB.
Yeah, man. Just go look at his video. Like he was so helpful. You know, I have a long list of people I could go over saying, you know, but his stuff was super helpful. Like you could go look it up. Like anybody can do this. Not saying everything can be a product that's, you know, worth a certain amount of money or, you know, whatever, but anybody could realistically go do this, which is cool. You know, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't. Like, I'm just a dude in my basement, man. Which I was 2 years ago. I was a dude in my parents' basement. So,
when I started, I was making caps in my bedroom, which is probably not the safest.
Oh no! I mean, I still don't know how I feel about. I'm like, I don't know if this is safe sometimes, but But
yeah, the respirator is good, right?
Yeah, I think so, right? I used to. Oh my god, it's so funny. I used to do it in my parents' garage. Then my dad had a race car. So then I had to go into the basement, which is next to my bedroom. And then that didn't work because of like the heating. Then I had to wait until it was outside. I literally would do this outside on the sidewalk. Dude, it was nuts. And then my parents moved, and I was in the process of buying a house. Like my parents were in the process of buying a house. We all lived in my uncle's basement, and he had like a little patio. And this was winter. I remember this specifically. I feel like it wasn't even that long ago because I've only owned my house for like a year. I had to go do caps outside. I had to bring a heater outside. There's many times where like I would open the caps like, woohoo, we're done. They would be goop, just goop. They would never cure. No, I destroyed so many molds that way, but I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like I don't have a place to go. Like this is where I am.
Just for context, this is New Jersey winter outside on the sidewalk.
Yes, yes, I would do that. I mean, it was again. I would say, let's say I had 10 molds, maybe 2 would work, and it was like the 2 that were closer to the heater. Yeah, I did some stuff that just didn't make sense, but I didn't know. I mean, I knew resin wouldn't want to cure, but I'm like, just keep it in the pressure pot longer. We'll be fine. Nope, didn't work.
Oh man, the hustle.
Hey man, we're here now, so.
Yes, I respect that.
It was fun.
Back to what you said about resources and early teachers. I mean, shout out to Glenn the Beck. He's shared so much information. He has so many YouTube videos. We'll definitely link to those. Was there something that you found particularly helpful or technique that you remembered from him that really resonated with you?
I would say one thing that's really helpful. I don't know if this is from Glenn specifically, but this is one thing that I know I've learned for myself, and I still do this to this day when I'm working with caps, though I have a better perspective. I would nowadays, and like, well, I should not nowadays, but in the middle, basically, I would get a keycap, like just a regular keycap, and I would put it next to me. I would keep it on me, for size reference. So like basically anywhere I would go, I would kind of have a cap. Just because I was like, I never noticed how small keycaps were until I actually started making artisans. Because like, who really thinks, well, unless you're into like mechanical keyboards, like, and I wasn't into mechanical keyboards. I mean, I think they're really cool. Like, I always thought they were really cool, but I wasn't into them. Like, I never built keyboards or anything like that. But like a keycap is literally smaller than my thumb. Like, it's so small. So one tip or thing of advice, and I tell people this all the time who DM me on Instagram, keep a keycap on you. You need it for size. First off, you need it for size reference if you're sculpting, but you'll realize how small it is, and you won't make something that's too big, and then you won't make something that's too small. You'll have some sort of reference. So yeah, I wish I did that earlier on. I made so many cool things, and they were massive. It was like the size of a mouse. I was like, wait, that's too big.
Definitely the same. The first sculpts I had, no way were they fitting on a keyboard.
Yeah, I was like, this is like a pop figure.
I want to ask, where did you get the idea to carry a keycap around?
Just myself. I don't know. Yeah, nowhere specific. It's just like, this will be helpful. So I did it.
I mean, more than
it's
just
kind of fun to play with too. It's like fidgety, you know, like it's like a fidget cube kind of sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's even now, like you can take a keycap off, even just a regular, you know, cap, and it's just like, this is cool. The angles, and you can spin it. But yeah, for the art's sake, it was easier to, you know, for reference. Yeah.
I mean, even on top of just having a physical reference, carrying around a keycap, I imagine would kind of train your subconscious, like to keep it back of mind, maybe do on designs.
Absolutely. I'm very much into that kind of belief. I'm also into the belief of, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best that I can. I'm going to put all of my effort into it. It might be part of OCD. It might be part of anxiety. It might be whatever. But I know at the end of the day, you know, I did the best that I could. And especially if it's a product, like it's different if I'm making something for myself. Then again, I always make sure I make the best one for me. Duh. Just kidding. They're all they're all the ones that go out are the best. But no, dude, there's so many times I have been burned by like companies, and not small companies or big companies, but like just random things like they didn't call me back, or this was faulty, or this didn't work, or stupid stuff. And I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna be like that. Like, I'd never owned a company. Like, I don't know anything about business. I'm a terrible businessman. I think I give away more stuff than I do sell.
I mean, one thing you said that struck me was how you are kind of self-deprecating in a way, in that you're saying, oh, you have these tendencies to maybe be overly focused. And yet at the same time, I feel like those are often one's greatest strengths, in the attention to detail, or making sure you have this quality.
Absolutely. It's a fine line though, when it comes to like it's a product. I want to put my time and effort into this, because I know if I was the consumer, if I was someone buying something, and again, I have no business background. I know jack about business, but we've been good with cursing, so let's keep it that way. You know, and being burned by other businesses by stupid stuff. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, and again, there's a difference too. Like when you first start out, there's things you don't know. Like, you know, like the butts on my original BBs, I didn't have my logo. It was just like a stem. Like, I mean, it was a thing, but I mean, it wasn't very good. I didn't know. It was the best I could do at the time. But nowadays, like, there's no excuse for that for me nowadays. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know that there shouldn't be a bubble here. I know that this should be smooth. You know, my original BBroots, like the black eyes, I didn't know how much pressure to put in the pressure pod, and I experimented, and I remember I did the best that I could. And there weren't bubbles, you know, they were 100%, you know, effective caps, but like they weren't super smooth. Like, I didn't know, you know, these are just things I didn't know. And as you learn and know these things, again, as this thing kind of turned into, it's like, oh, this is really cool. Some people like this. This is neat. And then it turned into, wow, these are a lot of people who want one of these, you know, keycaps. You learn, and it turns into, it'll always be art first, always. But it is a product too. If someone's purchasing this, I will make sure it is the best that I can at the time that of like what I know, you know. Like I said, recently I just learned about the powdering. Like, this is like, you know, that I just came out with those like that. Like, so I'm always learning. I'm always looking stuff up. I'm always watching YouTube videos. So
one thing you mentioned is the intention, and attention to detail that you put into your craft. And you said that you want to invest the most time to make sure that you have this quality piece of art, this quality product to share. And at the same time, you mentioned that there was a period where you were working full time and you had the part time.
Yep.
How do you even think about balancing all of these different demands?
Well, I would say that the one thing is after like 3 or 4 raffles, I finally put the part-time job down, which was that was a tough one because I've had these. They were so currently I work with all kids, all middle school kids. I don't know if anybody knows this or doesn't know this, whatever, but I'm 29, so it's not like I'm super old. I'm also not super young. I'm 29, but I've been in mental health and that kind of work since I was basically 15 is when I was exposed to everything. But I was officially working 16, 17, whatever. And then, so I've almost, again, this is not, I'm not trying to say I'm like a seasoned clinician, but I've worked with so many different populations, like so many when it comes to different kids, the older, geriatrics, like the psychiatric, everything, like everything you name. I guarantee you I've had either an adult or a kid or whatever with that issue or problem or whatever. Like it's really cool. I could say that. But at the time I was working at the YMCA. I don't know if you guys know what the YMCA is. So actually the one around here, it's called the CYMCA. So it's actually the community YMCA, which they offer therapy services, which I had no idea for the longest time. I thought it was just like a gym or a swim place. Yeah. I actually offered outpatient counseling through the CYMCA. So I did that for a couple of years. I work for Rutgers University currently, which is like a big school. It's a big football school too. A lot of people know about it in Jersey. Probably know about it wherever you are, to be honest with you. But I do therapy for kids in a middle school right now. So I actually work for Rutgers. I work for the university, but I am outsourced to the school.
I see.
So yeah, I'm in a school that's not run by Rutgers, but so instead of kids who don't have opportunity for services, they utilize me, the school, which is pretty cool. So they get therapy in school.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the caps and all of that. It was a lot, and it was pretty much, like I said, a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of 99% of the time I was on my bed with Clay. Like I said, I think I watched The Office probably 7 times through the times I was trying to make BBroot.
Classic.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, it was tough to balance. I mean, I still don't balance very well. It's something I need to get better at. Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I don't think I hopefully I will get better, but it's a tough one, man. I'm someone who needs to keep doing things. I can't sit still. I think too much sometimes. I have my own stuff going on always. So to me, caps are my outlet. Like, and this is like being 100% genuine here. Like, I could sit down with Clay in my basement forever and just zone out, forget about everything else, or forget about the stressful day I had, or other people's problems or whatever, and I could just sculpt. Man, it's so fun. It's so relaxing. Like, that's all I think about. It's almost bad because now that I finished Scout and I finished Kiribo VV, I'm like, what do I do now? Like, he's not even molded yet, man. And I'm like, what's next? So like I still have, like, I'm making more masters so I can make at least like 5 molds, but I'm like, what am I doing now? And I finished another side project too, which we'll probably talk about at some point with Loki. And I'm like, all my side, and it's like this light at the end of the tunnel, because like it was very stressful because there are so many things I'm balancing at the same time, which I don't know if other people do this, but I work on multiple sculpts at the same time. I cannot focus on one. There's no way. Like, I need to like do a little bit and be like, okay, if I do too much, it's not, I can't see it anymore. Like, I go away, and then I'll mess around with something else, and I'll go back. Like, I love that process of going back and forth. Maybe it's the ADHD or whatever, but I find that helpful too. It kind of gives you a different perspective if you're doing something completely different.
Yeah.
it opens up kind of like, oh, okay, this needs to go that way. This needs to go that way. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, balance wise, dude, I don't balance. I'm terrible at it. And you message me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like awake. You message me at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm already on my way to work. Message me at 10 o'clock at night, I'm usually putting a mold in. I sleep sometimes.
That was my question. Does this guy ever sleep? What is going on?
Sometimes. I always got stuff going. I got a lot of pets. A lot of people know I like animals. I got the dog, the 2 cats. I got 3 chickens. My mom has 4 goats and like chickens and all this other stuff. So I'm a big animal person. That's another like side hobby of mine. Yeah.
You mentioned the transition point from changing your focus from your part-time work at the CYMCA to focusing more on keycaps. Can you tell me more about what went into that thought?
That's a great question. I knew that when it came to like my time and effort, that I was putting a lot into my full-time job and my part-time job, meaning like sometimes you need an outlet. And if I'm working 40 hours a week and I'm working another 20 hours a week, all in therapy, my brain will fry. It's already a little fried, but you're looking at, 60 hours. And I was actually working up at Rutgers at the time, which was like an hour and a half drive and commute. And then you got the traffic. So I was literally doing like 80 to 90 hour weeks. And my one day off was Sunday. And I couldn't do anything Sunday. Like I had no energy to do anything. So when I had the opportunity to say, okay, I can keep, my normal job, I can slowly integrate these kids out, because a lot of them were doing really well at the time, which was fantastic. And then we got a new clinician who was able to take on like the last couple of kids that I had. I was like, it gives me more time to relax and then do something fun that's not therapy. That's honestly the main thing. It really didn't have to do with the finances at that point. Like it was fun little side money that I could go out to dinner with, or I could like buy something for my Jeep with, or something like stupid or something silly. But it was more of, I need a break from my full-time job stuff. And that was my outlet. That was 100% it. There was no financial motivation behind any of that, really. It was, I have an opportunity. It's an outlet, and it works out where, I'm substituting a little bit. So it was cool.
I think when you first said how there's the therapeutic nature of just being able to sit and be present with the sculpt and kind of just let your mind go a bit, whether it be with the focus on your creation or design, that definitely resonates. For
me, that's it. That is my outlet. It kind of calms me down. You really can, like, I'm super present when I'm with clay. I don't know what it is. Obviously art therapy is a real thing. This is like not like, oh, just, art is cool. Like art is nice. No, like there's studies behind it. This is real. And I know for me, it's my main outlet. Like there's other things I do that I enjoy, and I have other hobbies too. But for me, sitting with clay and being present and just putting your full attention into that, it's just a nice stress relief. It's honestly, if people didn't even like keycaps, I would always recommend just playing with clay. To be perfectly honest.
I 100% agree. I mean, for me, when I was first getting involved in messing with clay and thinking about keycaps, I was working a job that also took me, I think, like 3 hours round trip. So I was doing full time during the week, and just being able to have that space at the end of the day, whether it be like an hour or two, just to sit and mess around with like some kind of form.
What were you doing?
Shape. So I graduated with the civil engineering degree.
Oh, damn. Nice.
And was working at a land development firm in San Ramon. So for context, I grew up in San Jose and was living at home with my mom at the time. So that drive was, I think, maybe like 40 miles. So with traffic, you got like round trip, like about 2 to 3 hours. But I mean, for me,
Monday through Friday too?
Monday through Friday, full time, a little bit longer than maybe 40 hours, but I wasn't very happy with my situation. I mean, I realized looking back, it's funny where you can always find reasons to be grateful in the moment. There are like so many things that we have that, I mean, if you really think about it, we're in like the 1% of the world, right? Just being able to sit here and kick it. But at the time, I was really unhappy with my work situation. Having to commute, I know, added a lot and took a toll. And I was looking for kind of just a new opportunity to try and mess around with this potential project that integrated both art, which I have always felt like I've been drawn to, and business, which I was really curious about learning more about. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, the fact that having this expression, this creative expression where I can sit and just kind of release the tension and stress is just something that I found really special. And you can probably see it in my designs that there are these little angry guys with these grumpy faces. And very much that's like part of that was where I was coming from at the time. That was like my mentality, so right? Cool. So that was my expression.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's how it came out.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird. Like I feel like for the most part, well, I guess it's not weird. It's me. For the most part, I'm pretty lighthearted, but I guess my way of expressing, yeah.
That's the only anger you have, I guess, is in the cap.
I just put it into all this resin clay.
Yeah, man, it works because you're awesome.
Dude, I mean, it's been amazing. I mean, and you spoke to it too. Just being able to interact and meet all of the people in the community and develop these relationships is something that I'm so grateful for.
Me too. I mean, these are like friends for life sort of thing. Like,
yes.
These are people for life. So Word. these are not just people for now. Like these are people I text so many friends. They're just friends now. They're not keycap people. It's the easiest way for people listening, but like they're friends, and these conversations aren't about caps 99% of the time now. Like we're just talking about life, and whatever topic it may be, but they're friends, which is awesome.
Yes. That gets me. It's like
I could tell because we share some of the same friends.
Yeah.
Which is the best part.
It's crazy.
How genuine and how amazing these people are. And it's not just, smoke and mirrors. These are good people that you want to be around and you want to spend time with, and you want to give your time to, because they're just good people.
Dude, I hear that. I mean, it was only a matter of time before we met up, bro.
I know, seriously. I don't know how it took so long, to be honest. I think it's just because I'm very busy, and you are too.
I mean, dude, we all have our projects, but yeah, just the fact that we can finally just sit and chat, dude. Thank you for your time. I think one thing that actually I'm really curious to hear your perspective on is outside of like our immediate group of friends, the artisan and mechanical keyboard community is definitely growing. Like I feel like I see new makers, like more interest almost every time I look back. And for some context, I remember, I think the subreddit for Mech Market last year at the beginning of 2020 was around like 120,000 people. And just today I was looking and it was like almost 200K.
Wow.
So it's like a huge explosion in a year. So my question is, how do you see yourself, and what place do you see kind of in this community among other artisans, among the larger fan base?
That's a good question. I mean, we talked about this, before we went live. It's like, I kind of just do my own thing, like, and I'm okay with that. That's on purpose. That's not like I don't want to. I do that 100% on purpose, because it's a funky place sometimes, and we use the comparison of high school, and I have no issue saying that. Like I'm very open with how how I am, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It's like a high school though. You got the jocks, uber nerds. You just got all of these different categories of people, which is awesome because I was the kid who played sports but was a super nerd. So I ventured into every subcategory, which is like what I do still to my everyday life. So it's cool where I fit in. I think I am not an OG dude, and I would say at this point I am not a new dude either. I'm in that middle area, I think, which is I'm grateful for. We talked about Loki before. I'll talk about Loki now. And there's I would love to at some point mention a couple people just to say thank you. And we won't have enough time for me to mention like everybody because it's so many people, but there's a couple people that specifically I would, they are huge, huge people.
Of course.
But like I remember being a fan. This is like, I was messing with clay and I was like, I made the Instagram and like, I would follow a couple, keycap people that the only ones that I knew. I remember this too. Like I was working at like an after school program too, and I would have to like run movies, it was nice. It was such an easy job, part of my regular job, but that's a whole nother story. But I remember specifically going up and down all the hashtags of artisan keycaps, clay, and liking everything. I was like, I was right when I was beginning. I had like maybe I had no followers, probably myself, my other account. But I remember loving Loki and like his stuff and his art and specifically Kid Buu was like one of my favorite things, or Kibu, I should say. But as I slowly got into it, I was like, oh, I don't want to message him like this. I have like anxiety already. Like this guy's famous. Like he's like and like he's like well known. Like he's hundreds of likes. Like this is really cool. And the dude answered. I'm like, holy crap! Like this is crazy. And then like as time went on, I became friends with Loki. Like, and this is like to me, it's like this is, and I tell this to Loki all the time. I'm like, bro, you're Tom Brady. And I'm one of the dudes who watched you when I was a little kid. Like, essentially, that's it. Like, I'm Chris Godwin. You're Tom Brady, man. And now we're on the same field. Like, this is so cool. This is so cool. And I say same field as in like we're both doing stuff. I'll never be on Loki's field, but he's part of the reason. He's helped me so much. And there like I said, there's a lot of people. And I'll definitely forget, to say things because it's tough to do on the spot. But there's so many people that have helped me. But Loki specifically has done a lot for me. And being a fan and a person not knowing too much to, kind of saying, hey, can I ask you a question and getting a response? That has helped me become who I am as a creator too, because I hate to say it, but I answer everyone. It's a good thing and a bad thing. I answer everybody. And I know I would be super turned off if I message someone and they just didn't answer. Like, again, to each his own. People only have so much time, and it's also annoying getting the same question maybe 100 times a day. But I like to be helpful. I mean, it's my nature, and I'm not saying that in an arrogant way at all. I like to help people, and I feel like this community, a lot of people have changed their username to caps, whatever it was, and everyone's trying. And that's a cool thing. I'm okay with that. I know there's a lot of people who might not be. I'm okay with it because I know how difficult it is, and I know how much work it is, and it's okay. And more people make me be better too. Like I want to up my game too. That means like, okay, bring it on. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, but it's not for competition. It's for like we could do something new. We could let's change it up. Let's go. Pretty much that's it. Let's go.
I think you hit on something that really drew me to the community too when I was getting started. Is this ethos of openness and willingness to help, especially among makers for people who are newly interested in the hobby. I think I remember seeing someone say like it doesn't feel like they're gatekeepers. It's just like I remember when I first started, I saw on Geekhack 2 tutorials, one written by Binge and then another written by Booper. And they outlined the whole process of basically one was how to sculpt using a synth, which is a tool to help create your keycaps. And another was basically going from sculpt to mold to pouring a keycap. And just having these resources has made it so much more accessible.
Absolutely.
And like you said, too, the fact that there are so many new makers is really exciting to me.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's very cool. There's some really cool things that people are making too. Like, you know, as someone who collects keycaps, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to find a carbon one of these. Like, so it's nice as a consumer as well.
I remember hearing an interview on the Tim Ferriss show of Terry Crews.
Okay.
And he was speaking about competition within Hollywood for actor roles, and specifically for Black actors, where among his peers, he noticed this competitive nature where some people thought they were gunning for the same spot. It was this dog eat dog nature, as he said. Yet from his perspective, as he grew up and matured, he saw it as a new opportunity for someone in his community, a new opportunity for someone else to help everyone grow. And it's like you said, it's like it is competitive, and at the same time, it's that positive motivation to keep on innovating, keep on learning, and growing your own craft.
Yeah, that's for sure how I look at it. I know you talked about gatekeeping a couple minutes ago. I would say there might have been a little bit of that a while ago, and I think just the influx of new people has just, like, if there was any, I'm not saying there was, but there might have been a little, has obliterated that. It doesn't matter now. Anybody could do it. And again, you just have to spend the time. Like, that's literally it. You just spend the time, you know, get the material and start going. That's it. You can't promise it's going to be good or work, but anybody could do it if you spend the time, which is like the best part. I think that's really cool. Again, and not even from a product way. Like, if you just want to make a keycap for yourself, go do it. You know, you might have to invest a little bit of money for it, but you can do it still. It's pretty cool.
That's so true. It's like, what is the minimum viable audience? It's me.
Yeah, dude. All my sculpts are what I wanted to make. Like, that's literally what it was. You know, people may have given me ideas or say, "Oh, you should do that or that," but like, I'm really bad. It's like I'm really guilty of not following like trends. Like, I'm like, this would be really cool. I want one, so I'm gonna do that. I mean, it's cool, but like, it's also not very. This is where the business side, and this is where Mike will yell at me. Like, the business side is like, it doesn't help, like, because I just do random stuff, like, which I'm getting better at now that all my like new sculpts are kind of getting done. I'm gonna actually like follow a pattern and stuff. But like, dude, there's so many times where I'm like, I really want this. I'm gonna make it. Okay. This is the best part. It's cool. It's like I always find this like really cool when I'm talking to people. And like, and they want to see like what I do. So like, people come in the basement. I typically keep one cap from almost every raffle I do. I have a large collection of Rathcaps. So those who like Rathcaps, you should be jealous. People know this already. Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, this went from my brain to my hands to this thing, this actual thing. Like, I made this, like, and I always thought when I used to collect toys, if I turned the camera, you would see like 1,000 action figures and pops and a cat and a bunch of other stuff. But like, I never thought I could make something. Like, you know, I always thought I had to buy it. I thought I had to, if I want an action figure, I got to go buy it. I'm making this stuff, and this is from my brain, which is freaking sweet. Like, so you're going from thought to process to done. It's so cool.
There's something primal about that.
Dude, really, 100% that. It is primal. You know, growing up, you have to buy something, you know, and a big company's making it, or they're mass producing it, or there's no other way to get what you want unless someone else does it, you know, but not anymore. I wanted my cat and I wanted my dog. Guess what? I made my cat and I made my dog.
Just like that.
Yeah. I mean, it might have took forever, but I did it. Blame the OCD, but I did it.
You just have 100 save states and you're good.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, it's really a cool thing. And, you know, speaking of the new community and stuff like that, like, I'm all about it. I have no issues with it. You know, if they have questions, I feel like I get all the questions anyway, so I answer them and I'm okay with it.
I see that, dude. And I think a great example, as we kind of alluded to earlier, is the video you made showing your process.
Yeah.
Can you tell me the story of how that happened?
So I have, technically it's 2 videos. One's posted by Illumilite, which is a resin, and they have silicone and resinol and stuff like that. And one is just on like my YouTube. Like I don't do YouTube. Like I don't really know anything about that. They did all the editing and stuff like that. But essentially they contacted me. They're like, hey, you know, do you use our products? And I do use their products. Not all of their stuff, but I use some of their stuff. And they pretty much said, if we send you some stuff, will you show us how your process? And I'm like, sure. Listen, I'm not getting paid by them or anything like that. They gave me a free shirt and like a cup of coffee, like a mug.
Swag.
And yeah, I was like, cool. Like they made me an affiliate, which is cool. Like I don't do anything with it, but it's really cool. So essentially they said, and I don't know anything about editing videos or anything. I'm not very tech savvy. So Illumilite contacted me and they said basically, we'll send you new product. Can you make a video for us? And we'll edit it and just send us the clips. And I said, okay, why not? I had nothing bad about it. Like, so yeah, it was cool. I'm like, cool, because then I'll have a YouTube video. Like, so I did it. Yeah. So they reached out to me. Shout out to Illumilite. They're like super nice people. Awesome products. You know, I specifically love their dye, to be honest with you. Their black and whites are just the best. And essentially I use black and white for almost, you know, it's like the main thing for most things, like the eyes and like teeth and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's kind of how that worked out. And then a bunch of people saw it and it was pretty cool.
What was the feedback like?
I think the one on my YouTube has all thumbs up. I think there might be one thumbs down, and maybe it's myself who clicked it. I don't even know. But yeah, it's been a good thing. I mean, sometimes when people ask me questions, I could just say, go to the YouTube video. It'll answer your questions within 6 minutes. I tried to keep it as tight of a window as we could, with also being somewhat detailed. You know, listening to something that's super complex or long that's too much. So we tried to really make it accessible, I should say. I mean, I actually made a TikTok. It's a how-to basically within 60 seconds. I mean, it's clip, but essentially I did it. But yeah, the YouTube video was good. I think it was a good thing. I think it's super helpful for a lot of people too, because it's like new. I feel like a lot of the keycap stuff was a couple years ago. There hasn't been too many new relevant videos to making artisans, and not that that's an avenue I want to do, because I have no interest in YouTube. But it's been fun. It's been fun and getting good feedback. So yeah.
The fact that you're willing to share your process beyond the Illumilite collaboration, I think it speaks to the nature of your willingness to help other people, kind of the ethos of the community.
Dude, I think that one of the things I do, I'm lately, because I just have not had the time, is I'll do like the Instagram lives, and sometimes I'll have 2 people, sometimes I'll have 50 people, sometimes I would say I average like 15 people, whatever. It's not about the views. I could care less about that. It's about the small interactions of behind the scenes kind of stuff. So like it'll be me sculpting or working on stuff and people vibing and just be like, hey, can I ask you this question? And it's just like a Q&A. You got a question? Ask. Like that's why I'm here. You can see some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I'm just working. If I'm working by myself, I would be listening to music or a podcast. So now you can kind of join for a little bit and see kind of where I'm at with this. I mean, Scout's mohawk came from Instagram Live. A dude's like, you really should put a mohawk on him. I'm like, okay, like I'll try it out. I mean, I had a save point, so it didn't matter. And he's got a mohawk now. So a lot of my inspiration and changes and designs I've gotten a lot of cool feedback from that stuff.
Yo, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, we're gonna link. People definitely need to see like whatever you're working on when you go live for these things, because to try and explain the entire process and intricacies for resin casting in itself in your 6-minute or 60-second video is a challenge to really incorporate everything that goes into making. And that's only the resin aspect too. Like you spoke on everything before with the sculpting. And I just want to highlight this because oftentimes you see people asking with a simple question and it's genuine. Like, oh, how do you make a keycap? Like it takes a lot more to explain. Than,
it's not 2 + 2.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about the sculpts before. I mean, I have sculpts that are still not finished, in my opinion, and this is 8, 9, 10 months later. And I've only been doing this for 2 years. This is half the amount of time and I'm still not done, So yeah, then you get to the casting aspect, which is, I didn't know anything about that either. Like, how many times I have messed up, how much material I have wasted, how much money I've spent, like throwing stuff in the garbage. Like, so, and that's another topic I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, is like the price of keycaps and stuff like that. But it's just like people don't see the 6 months of me messing around with clay in the basement, like perfecting Scouter to the best that I possibly can by hand, or putting the little strokes in the mohawk to look like fur by hand. This is like with clay, like these are little and micro, the size of your thumbnail. Like, these are things people don't know, or especially newer people, they don't realize there's all this stuff that goes into it besides all of the stuff to actually make it happen.
The specific knowledge.
Oh, there's so much. It's overwhelming and underwhelming at the same time, because like if I want to make it, like I'm at the point now where it's like if I want to make a keycap, I can go do it. It's not going to take me forever. But there's also a fine line of how many can I make? How can I do it with the keeping my raffle in mind? And there's a lot of aspects in that. And then on top of it, the sanding, the buffing, the packaging, the invoicing, the shipping. I mean, it is quite a bit, so there's a lot that goes into it, man, especially by yourself.
So that makes me think of this story. I think my dad told me. It goes, one night, Pablo Picasso, the world's most famous artist of his time, was sitting at a restaurant and a fan approached him with a napkin, and the fan asked, could you sketch something for me? I'll pay it. I'll pay you for it. Just name your price. So in response, Pablo Picasso sits there, takes out his charcoal pencil, and quickly sketches out an image of a goat. The man, his fan, reached out to collect the napkin, and before he gave it over, Picasso said, you owe me $100,000. The man was like, what the heck, $100,000? Why? That took you no more than 30 seconds to draw. And in response, Picasso crumpled up the napkin, threw it away, and said, you were wrong. It took me 40 years.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to like exactly as you say.
Wow, that's perfect. Holy crap. Wow. You're not even kidding. That hits the nail on the head right there.
So yeah, I mean that like perfectly is a perfect transition to thinking about pricing. And I'm curious because it's not just the 1 like to 3 hour cure time of a single color for resin. It's not just
Correct.
maybe like throwing in a mold that takes X number of hours. It's harder to translate this dollar per hour, this dollar value for individual caps. So I'm curious on, maybe this is more broad than just the dollar amount, but how do you think about valuing your time, your energy? Because I mean, you're all over the place and super active, and money for materials and even your emotional investment. How do you think about these different factors when you're just valuing your art? And this doesn't have to be in the dollar sense either.
Okay. It's a tough one. I mean, I'll keep it in the perspective of a keycap when it comes to like my keycaps. I'll do that because that's kind of the only reference that I have. I don't make anything else, you know. I always translate, and again, I'm never trying to step on anybody's toes, but my caps are based on time and effort as when it comes to like the casting stuff, not based on hype is kind of what I'm getting at here. So if I had 1 million entries for sapling, he'd still be 55 or 60 bucks. I don't care. Like, you know, if there's 30 million people, sapling's still going to be your 55 or 60 bucks because I know what it takes to cast him. And again, that's ignoring, you know, the long time it takes to make him, like the original one out of clay. But like that to me is fair. It justifies my time. It justifies the material. It justifies essentially me continuing to do the craft. That's the way I look at it. I never ever want to be a rich dude or a multi-billionaire or anything like that. I just want to be comfortable. I mean, you see my basement. I have a 900 square foot house. I have a little tiny baby house, but you know what? I have a house and it's really cute and it's super nice. I'm not a materialistic person, so it really doesn't have to do with money or anything like that. It has to do with time, what's fair. And, I mean, this is one of those tough questions because it's like certain people or new people are charging, you know, X amount for a cap. And I'm like, wow, I've been doing this for 2 years and my cap's cheaper than theirs. That's weird. Or my cap has like 4 or 5 different shots and different designs and theirs is one color. But again, I not stepping on people's toes. People do whatever they want. It's their business. But for me, it's about what makes sense. And again, it's just what makes sense. So if we're going to go keycap stuff here, $60, I think, for your established artisan, I'm going to just go into it. I don't care what people say. For your established artisan keycap maker, I think $60 is like the perfect price. I really do. Yeah, if there's less of them available or the complexity, it could go up. Sure. I mean, you got people like I'll name some people. This is a tough one, but you got your art keys and stuff like that. I mean, you got hundreds, if not thousands, of people entering. I understand and it's a high quality, if not the highest. I mean, I always look at them as the highest, to be honest. They're like, yeah. I always value that as like, this is your top tier, for sure. So like, and they hit $100. I mean, my poly hits $100, but you're also looking at more caps and yeah, you're getting 3 caps. That's a whole nother story, but $55, $60 is like the perfect price range. It kind of hurts my stomach when I see new people come out at that price range. I think my first cap was 40. 35 or 40. I honestly don't remember, but I know it wasn't $60. It probably took way longer then too, to be honest, than it does now because now I have a process. But I think quality has something to do with it for sure. Quality versus quantity is another thing. You know, it's a weird thing, man. It's a funky, there's a middle ground you want to find, I feel like, for those who are new to this. Like the goal isn't to, like, for me, for example, my goal isn't to make 1,000 caps and then nobody ever want to buy a cap again. Hell no. I'm in this for the long haul, man. You know, I want enough caps out so people, like, again, it's funky because there's people who really genuinely, like, they're not trying to flip my caps. Like, they love collecting my caps. and they just want my caps. Like, and that's the coolest thing ever. So it's like finding the right amount to release, yet you don't want to release too many, but you also don't want to release too little because you have to, like, I have to pay for resin. I have bills to pay too. Like it's this weird middle ground. It's really a tough one, man. It's a hard question to answer.
I think for many people, especially for people new to the community, it's startling to see resin keycap for $100. Not really knowing the process or everything that goes into its creation.
1000%. When I first saw the Jack Bald, I was like, oh, these are like really cool. Like, how do I get one? Like first off, I was like, what do you mean I can't get that? Why can't I just have that? Like, I'll buy it. Here's $20. Like, can I have my keycap? It's like, oh, well, no, it's limited colors, hand done. Like, okay, so like, it makes sense now. But then it didn't. And then like, wait, what do you mean $60 or $70 or whatever it was at the time? I don't remember, but it was like, probably $75. It's like, dude, that's crazy. That's what your mindset is when you're first introduced.
Yes.
Being on the other side, it's very different.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No.
I just wanted to riff off what you said in terms of, there are these people who are willing, and there are these people who see artisans. They may see one of your BBroots or your new Scout once it comes out in that carbon colorway, and the first question is, how do I buy it? Like, how can I have this? How do you share your caps? Like, what's your model for that?
Oh, so that's a great question. I would say 99% of my sales, quote unquote, are raffle formed. So they're always raffles. So those who don't know, when it comes to artisan keycaps, this is not like, I have a website, don't get me wrong, but I do not have an inventory. I will never have an inventory. This is not my full-time job, nor do I have the capabilities of having stock. And I don't say that in a glaunting way or at all. It's not possible. It's like literally not possible. So everything's through, a Google form raffle. 99%. I actually changed it up recently where I was like, the first 5 people are guaranteed slots out of like the 15 caps I have available. I wanted to change something up, to do something a little different just to see. But yeah, everything's a raffle. So 99% of the time I'll say like, okay guys, I have 15 caps available. Here's the color, here's the price, the Google form's open, have fun, enter. And then I use like an RNG website and I match it up to the Google form number. And that's kind of how I do it. So yeah, I try not to revisit old colors. I try to do every sale is completely different. I mean, sometimes I'll revisit, but I'll try to change it, or it's a different kind of cap, or it's a different sculpt, or it's something I wanted. I'm guilty for that. But yeah, you're looking at smaller quantities, and as more people enter the hobby, they're like, well, I want that. Like, I don't have it, man. Like, maybe I have one for myself, but I'm not sharing. Like, you aren't here. I'm sorry. Go to Mech Market. Hopefully you don't find one that's like crazy overpriced, but like that, or just wait. Like, I'll try my best to hit it again and at some point, but slightly different. It's weird, especially, after price stuff, and it's funky.
You mentioned Mech Market as like kind of the hub for all things mechanical keyboards, cables, keycaps, and I was just curious to hear if you had any thoughts on aftermarket, because from my understanding, that's a completely different game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a funky. Mech Market and all that kind of stuff is funky. That's kind of the best word I can use. I don't know. I have mixed feelings when it comes to it. There's a term of flippers, people who will, win a raffle and then sell that cap for profit. I am not okay with that. I'll be up front. I don't like that. And I think people know that, especially about me, because I will always keep my eyes on those people. There's a difference between like, needing to sell a cap or wanting to sell a cap or winning a raffle and trying to trade it for a different color. Totally get it. I've done that. That's normal. But like personally, I've never sold a cap more than what I paid for it. Like, I think that's fair. But then obviously you got the whole, like, there's so much hype behind certain things, and certain things are, valued so much higher in the aftermarket. I don't think there's a solution. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's not a good thing, and it's not a bad thing. It's weird. It's weird. I mean, it's good too in the fact it's like, oh, someone's selling your cat for more money too. Like, that's another good, like, it shows that people want it. That's a cool thing. But I always try to have people reach out to me and say, like, this is something. And there's another difference between someone trying to, like, buy a cap and then, like, sell it or flip it. Like, again, there's a lot of the people who collect my caps collect my caps. Like, there's no intention of selling stuff. Obviously life circumstances happen, and if you need to sell stuff, you sell stuff. Like, I've had to do that too. But people kind of know, like, if they really want something, to reach out to me, and somehow we'll make something happen to make it work out, where they're not paying a crazy amount of money, nor more than, what I traditionally would sell it for. But it's also fair to the people who have won the raffle. Maybe there's a way I can, change a colorway up, or come back with that colorway, or, somehow it tends to work out. My stuff, thank God, isn't bad aftermarket. It's pretty traditional. I would say it's always about retail. There's occasions where it's not, but somebody might get an earful from maybe me, and it goes back to retail. Shit, if I had to buy it back, I'll buy it back retail, and then it's like, I don't like that, man.
It's like you say, it is funky and weird. I think your metaphor of the high school dynamic fits perfectly for mech market, where there's so much diversity, as you said, and people have different incentives. And I mean, it's a new, emerging, and exciting market, right? And there are going to be market dynamics too. But I was just curious.
It could be a full-time job flipping. That could be a career. It's like flipping stuff on mech market. Like, it's crazy. But there's no answer to it. I hate to say it. There's no answer to it. It's just being aware if it happens, and kind of to pinpoint where it is and why it is. And again, it's good and bad. Like, that's the thing. It's like hype. I mean, this is a very much hype-based industry. I will say that. And that's, again, nor good nor bad. But I could say, like, I could spend 100 hours into a sculpt, and someone could spend 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, if that has hype, that has hype. Again, I'm not dissing that sculpt or whatever, but that is definitely part of it, and that's definitely part of the aftermarket as well.
I think hype is a good way to describe it. It's like the surge in interest, maybe over a short period of time. I guess typically over a short period of time.
Typically, yeah.
That makes me wonder how you think about caps for you long term. I mean, you mentioned your idea of developing these long-term relationships, in that you're planning on being around for a while. So recognizing, like, right now, definitely the community is still growing. There are new makers. How do you see your place in the future as it grows as well?
My perspective is definitely, especially this year with coming out with all these new things. Like, I've been going nonstop for like 3 months here, trying to get stuff ready, and we're at those final stages where it's, I'm starting to finally mold, these caps. But for sure, I'm definitely quality over quantity type of approach. Especially now that I have some sort of establishment, I would say. I'm not trying to make a million caps and, like, dump them out and, like, oh, this one has a bubble and the stem is broke and blah 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 blah. Nah, man, like, you're gonna get the highest quality I have, at something that makes sense price wise for the time I put into it, and the quality of what you're getting. But that, I would say, to answer your question short, because I always go on rants, I'm sorry, is quality is my quality is I'm trying to really get top notch here. I'm spending so much time getting these things to the best that I possibly can by hand. Like that's yeah.
Man, I respect that. I mean, the idea of emphasizing quality. I mean, I'm like almost ashamed to admit this, but I'm definitely guilty of shipping poor quality caps. I mean,
But it
I spoke.
happens.
Yeah,
It's normal. It happens.
I guess. Yeah, it's, I guess, like you said, it's part of the process of learning and experimenting.
I mean, again, it happens. You get better. Like again, I would never ship my OG BBroots like now. Like, but I know I have the knowledge now. If I didn't, it's different if you have the knowledge and then choose to be an ass. It's different. But
Word.
to each his own. Sometimes I'll have my 10 caps available, or typically, like I said, 11 because I want one for myself. Sometimes I have to give away my cap, so I don't want to make one more cap. Like I was like, and I don't have one now. Like, damn it, because I know that B stock. I'll just keep the B stock.
Yes. Oh, I've got my fair share of B stocks.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But I don't know.
Yeah, thinking about the growth in community, recently I've seen a lot of new makers using 3D technologies with drafting and printing. And I mean, well, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on these emerging technologies.
I mean, this is a tough topic for sure. I think I have a good way of looking at it, and again, I'm this is my viewpoint. Let's put it that way. First off, I think it's really cool. I think it's like I don't know anything about 3D printing. I know Jack about it. The things you can do with it is unreal. It's out of this world. There's stuff that there's no way I could do with my hands. I know that for sure. It's just not possible.
Yes.
But you also walk a fine line of, again, what my opinion, this is like this funky thing of like, what is an artisan keycap? And when I was introduced to the hobby, it was, you're making something out of clay, by hand, you're casting it, you're molding it, and then you're casting it all resin by hand. That's definitely opened up to, there's the 3D printing, there's the 3D modeling, there's hand painted caps now. I mean, that's a big thing too. There's the resin. They're all within the same category. It's like a vehicle. So, it's like there's a car, there's an SUV, there's a truck. It's all the same kind of, but kind of not. Like, I was having this conversation with my girlfriend before. I'm like, how do I approach this subject? Because I knew this was going to be a subject. And when I was in the car, I was like, it's like granite and quartz. If you're looking at like countertops or something like that, like quartz is still art. It's still beautiful. It's a little bit more man-made than natural from, the earth. So that to me is more of like the 3D printing / painting. Listen, if I 3D printed, which first off, I don't know how to do it, but if I did, I'm sure I could come up with some really cool stuff. And if I hand painted stuff, I could do probably the coolest stuff. I feel like it would just be such a different approach. And again, I'm not knocking it. I think it's awesome. But then you have that, and then you have like the hundreds of hours hand with clay and messing stuff up, and it's just like really rough, and like, if there's an imperfection, I do my best to get rid of it, obviously, but there's gonna be these imperfections because this is all by hand. And then you got it's fully resin casted. Dude, resin sucks. Resin is so difficult. Resin is like the most difficult medium I will ever work with. It is so difficult, between the ratios and then the dye, and then it's not easy. You can't just draw. It's not like grabbing a pen or a pencil. It's so freaking hard. So are they both artisan keycaps, or am I okay with 3D print? I'm absolutely okay with it. I have no issues with it. I feel like there should be a different name though, like within the artisan keycap. I don't know what it would be. I don't have that answer, but like, they are different. They're similar, but they're different. And again, I look at things as in time, like value and time, and how much I would spend on something and how much I would charge for something. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But definitely, they're definitely artisans. They're definitely art. They're amazing. I try to collect your traditional artisans more than I do the 3D printed kinds. However, I know people who, obviously because I'm in the community, who are 3D, artisan makers. Their stuff's amazing. I'm not. It's amazing. I can't do that.
Yes, neither can I.
I just wish it was a different name almost. That I don't know what you would call it, but I mean, it's still artist, still art, still a keycap, but it's just different.
I agree. I mean, I think what you said about the vehicle comparison, it's like they're all under the same umbrella, and it's like the same amount of intention, the same amount of energy may be placed in one design just as much as the next design.
I like the quartz and the granite. I thought that was pretty good.
All right, we'll go with that.
I like that the best.
One of my good friends, he paints in oils.
Oh, shit.
He was saying that he was like at a museum and the curator was sharing this perspective of art where there are 3 different perspectives. Maybe there are more, but from this curator's explanation, the first perspective is what the artist envisions in his or her mind.
Mm-hmm.
The second perspective is what the artist is able to create physically.
Well, yeah, the actual thing.
And then the third perspective is what the viewer sees. Already recognizing there are separate ways of looking at the same thing. If you then extrapolate that to understanding of the process.
I was just going to say the knowledge
preference. Yeah. Like then you're already just expanding those, and who's to say what, like, it's like, are you leaving it up to the markets to decide? Are you leaving it up to your friends? Are you leaving it up to yourself?
No, it's so true. Especially with all the new people like in the hobby. It's just like, why is that, $60? Why is Polyrath $100? And I'm like, bro, I don't print it, man. Yeah. I fucking made that shit.
Look at my hands.
Yeah, I'm bleeding. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, but it's different depending on your perspective and what you know and your information. You know? But it changes.
Definitely.
It changes every day. It's cool.
Now, I think, dude, we've covered so much. I feel like this would be a great place to dive into some quick questions. And this format, I'm definitely stealing from Tim Ferriss. And the questions themselves are short, but your answers can be as long as you want.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
It's really meant to be open-ended. The first question I want to ask is, what does creativity or being creative mean to you?
I think everything, to be honest. And people do that very differently in like the way they dress, the way they do their hair, tattoos, art. It's kind of what makes us us. So to me, I would say it's almost everything. It's so important.
Okay. If you could have only one tool from your artisan toolkit, what would it be?
Dremel, for sure. Dremel, for sure. Even though that's like the last thing I use, but I can do so many fine. I feel like almost all my stuff is like, between the saplings and like Kiribo, and like it's all very fine detail, and I could do that really well with the Dremel. I mean, I do it with the clay first, and then I soften it with the Dremel, technically. But I use like the needle type of clay tool. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite. I probably use that more than anything else. But I'll do that first. I'll make the one shot, and then I'll go over that to soften it a lot of the times with the Dremel.
Do you listen to certain music or playlists when you're in your creative zone?
Absolutely. Almost every second I have, because it's my time. I love Joe Rogan, and this is more, I guess, personal than generic or broad. But I very much love. I like reading a lot. I I like audiobooks and stuff like that. But I'm a huge like conspiracy theorist person. Like I love that stuff. So like Joe Rogan and like the aliens and like learning about like different you know, medical kind of stuff. Like he has like the mushroom people on and like, you know, like all of that spirituality kind of stuff. I love that stuff. I'm obsessed with that stuff. Like I'm always like, before I go to bed, I'm always on Reddit, like on r/UFOs, r/conspiracies. I'm a giant nerd when it comes to that. But yeah, so like I'll listen to music too, but if a really cool dude is on Joe Rogan, for sure Joe Rogan. Sometimes I'll watch movies that I always wanted to watch too, but it's hard to do that while the pressure pot goes on and off and it's like loud and you can't watch and your hands are covered. But typically I'll do that or an audiobook. Like recently I've been using Audible, I think it's called, the app on Amazon or whatever. And I bought a couple books and just listen to the books.
Best audiobook or Joe Rogan episode?
Oh God. If you want to combine conspiracy with Joe Rogan, the David Fraser one, I believe it is with the dude. He was the fighter pilot who saw the Tic Tac. He had the long, or Bob Lazar. That one's good. Alex Jones. Anyway, there's an episode with Bob Lazar, which is really cool. It's the UFO documentary on Netflix. The guy who said he worked for Area 51, basically, and he experimented on UFOs, but no one knows if he's lying or not. But that's a cool one if you want to combine Joe Rogan and that. I actually just finished one today. It was like 3 years old actually, because I never had a chance to watch it. It was about like psychedelics. I thought it was super cool, especially being in mental health. You know, it was just cool. So yeah.
There's a lot of exciting stuff I've heard about psychedelics and mental health recently.
Hell yeah, the research is there, but it's big pharma that's blocking everything. But I think you're going to see a push, and I'm not promoting any type of drug use at all. For sure. But I think for sure you're going to see this nice shift. But you know, you gotta beat out big pharma. But yeah, there's, you know, from the field myself, I could already see, and you look at the research and everything. But like, this is stuff that could change the world. It could change the world.
And these use cases, just for context, are very different than recreationally in your bedroom with your group of friends versus with trained professionals who have vast amount of experience helping people and guiding them through these processes.
Correct. This is nothing to do with like chilling in a basement or anything like that or at a party. No, I'm talking about like clinical trials with actual research and how this could be used down the line.
Actually, one question I got from several people who are curious is about maker's etiquette or artisan etiquette. Is, do you believe there is or are any unspoken rules among makers in this community?
Absolutely. And I feel like new people don't necessarily follow it because they don't know. But one of the things that I think is an unwritten rule, but definitely a rule, is you don't do the same like design as somebody else. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody knows sapling is based off of Groot, but like if a person comes up and makes a Groot, I mean, that's not cool. Like, I don't think that's cool. If they ask me like, hey, I want to do like Groot, but I want to do it this way, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, I'd be like, do it, man. I'll be the first one to support you. I think that's pretty cool. Or doing something with a spin, you know, changing it up or whatever. I think that's awesome. But that's definitely an unwritten rule. Like, you don't go make somebody else's stuff, you know. Obviously, like I said before, like sapling is definitely based off of Groot. There's the inspiration for sure, but it's not Groot. It's sapling, you know. So I think that's the major one.
Does it make a difference if people? Well, I guess I hear you say it makes a difference if people reach out and kind of just get a go ahead with different designs that they may be interpreting or reinterpreting.
I think it's night and day. If you reach out, it shows that, like, I mean, again, someone could reach out and I could say, no, don't do it. That's not going to stop them per se. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they can do whatever they want, and that's okay. I mean, that's the beauty of art. I think it's more of a respect thing, though. You know, it's like, hey, I noticed you did this. It's really cool. Do you think I could try it like this, though? Okay. You know, it's like, dude, there's And that's what I don't get about like some of the hardcore people like that like quote unquote gatekeep, which they do and they don't at this point. But it's like just like it's just so vast. There's so many people and like there's so many different styles. Like I know so many people that like are super into like the cute caps, and that, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're cute, but it's just different, It's very different than like a realistic type of cap, or like some weird hybrid version, or clay versus 3D printed. A lot of people, if you look at your caps or some of my caps, people are like, "There's no way you did that by hand." Like, yeah, it took 8 months. I think Brute caps?
Brew caps?
Is he the one with the amazing?
Pain?
Yeah, Pain.
Oh
So that's
my gosh! Shout out
that's
to
an
Brew
example though.
caps.
But like, I was talking to Loki about this. If you 3D printed Pain, I wouldn't think that's that impressive. I mean, it would be really cool, but I wouldn't be as impressed. And how that mofo did that by hand, holy crap, dude, that's insane. It's so cool.
I think he also, if I remember correctly, documented the entire process, which I'd be happy to link to. And I think what I read was it was very much freeform.
Wow.
Like there was no sketch beforehand. It was just experimentation, and there were iterations where he sculpted a detail and then completely redid it.
Wow.
But yeah, I'd have to look back and find that.
Damn, that kind of brings me to a cool thing with Loki. I don't know if I should say, but I guess I will, because this is not going to be ready anytime soon, and the thing will be ready by then. Just like Pain and Bruce Cap and like this. So my first, besides Jack Ball, like literally one of my favorite caps was Loki's Kid Buu or Kibu. I loved it, man. I thought it was the coolest cap ever. And then I became friends with Loki. But before that, like I would enter raffles and all that like normal. I still do, actually. I finally want a Perpetual. Woohoo! It's not all. Yes, even if you're friends, it doesn't mean it's rigged.
It is possible to win caps.
Yeah, right. But he had the first version, which is like literally one of the first caps I ever saw too, besides Jack Bald, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I love Majin Buu. Like, this is sweet. Like, it's not Majin Buu, but it's like a spin-off of how he like creatively like saw it, kind of like what I did with Sapling. It's like based off Groot, but like how I wanted it to be, even though V2 is like, I mean, I was looking at Groot when I made V2. I was like, okay, I want to make this really realistic, like movie quality Sapling. That was my idea with V2, actually. But I basically took his V1 and his V2, and I made a V3. So one thing that people don't know, this is actually kind of cool. I would say 99% of the people don't know this, but Sapling and Sapling V2 all come from BBroot. That's all with clay added on top and Dremel. So like I literally started out with like BBroot, and I added clay, and then I went on top of it. So like think about how Groot in real life is like a tree who grows. Dude, how sick and like metaphorical is like BBroot literally is Sapling V3 or V2.
Dude, that's incredible.
It's the original cap. Yeah, it's just with clay added on top, and all the stuff I did.
It's growing.
Yeah, how sick is that, right? Isn't that so cool?
That's really cool.
Yeah, I know. But
more than 99% of the people need to know.
Okay, look at Kisa. Yeah, I think that's super cool. Like, it's super cool. It came from, and again, that's the power of the Dremel and clay and hundreds of hours of trying to get things right. But so anyway, long story short, me and Loki have been working together. I took his V2 and V1 and kind of smushed them together with my own spin, and the goal was to just to ship it to Loki and say, please cast this so I can enter raffles. Please cast this so I can enter raffles. That was the goal. But it looks like him and I might just, cast it on our own whenever we want and have the rights to it sort of it's it's Loki with a spin of Rath for a Kibu V3. So I'm super excited. Some people saw like hints of it. I mean, I've been working on this for a while, like in the background besides everything else. But I like today was the first day I took out like the final shot. I was like, yes, it looks sick. I mean, you're talking about like, and he told me, he's like, you're stupid. You should have, well, he didn't say that, but like, I'm stupid. I should have documented the whole process, like pain. Like, I mean, there's like 50 versions of this that I was doing. Like, yeah. But I'm happy to say that it's officially done. Super dope.
Well, you know the process and the effort that you put into it, dude. I mean, two things. Cool. I mean, the collaboration with Loki. I think that's incredible that you're working and collaborating with him. But you're so quick to sweep under the rug the origin stories of your keycaps, like with BBroot and Sapling. Dude, that's awesome. The fact that you're like basing these feature designs off of the OG like molds.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. Especially if I'm trying to stay within the same like category. So like again, Sapling, and they're all iterations of each other, basically growing up. I need to do the oldest one, which I started, but I have so many other projects that it kind of got pushed on the background. But yeah, like it literally is like Sapling is BBroot. It's the same cap, just with clay and Dremel and a lot of time.
That makes so much sense.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful metaphor.
This is the perfect metaphor.
Yeah,
it's just resin and not.
Yeah. It's cool. I think it's a cool thing. I probably should tell more people that. It's a pretty neat concept.
Well, at least all of our listeners will now know.
That's cool.
What's a bad piece of advice that you commonly hear?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go full counselor here, but I'm not a parent either, but I remember growing up, and this is very much aligned with Alan Watts. Do you know who Alan Watts is? Dude's,
yes.
I mean, yes. The dude was very brilliant, but the idea is like, oh, you need to go to kindergarten so you can get to first grade. You need to go to first grade so you can get to second grade. And then it's like you do this whole thing, and then all of a sudden you're thrown out into the world, and you're like, what did I just do for the last 20 years? Where am I and how am I here? And it's like, I feel like, first off, that definitely happened to me, and I wish I knew about Alan Watts a lot earlier, but this goal-driven kind of society about like, and there's nothing wrong with checking things off your list. I have to do that. That to me, that feels, good to achieve things. But there's a different way to kind of look at it. And this is what I was saying before about goals and values. Like, I live my life through my values, not through my goals. And this means, you still set goals. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm trying to think the best like example of putting this. It's very difficult to do, but it's just like, if I don't achieve my goal, does that mean I wasted all of that time I invested? Does it? Like, no. Like, as long as I live through my values, I learned from it. It doesn't necessarily. Maybe I didn't obtain that goal. But that's okay is the point, because I'm learning and I'm living through my values, and I can continue that with something next and new. And that's a new thing. Not a new thing. That's something that people don't necessarily say or do. They always say, "Oh, like, come on, Johnny, you need to beat the game, or you need to, get accepted to this school, or whatever the case may be." But it's more about your values than your goals.
Do you have an example of a time that you may have had a goal that either didn't turn out this right way, yet you still held true to your value?
Yeah. I feel like I can go on and on about this for sure, but I'll go with this, and this is definitely part of it. My goal was always to graduate school, get a full-time job, and I lived at home, to save my money for my first year and buy my dream car. That's what I wanted to do. That was my goal. And thank God my dream car wasn't anything super crazy, but it was just a Jeep. I always wanted the Jeep. It was funny. It all aligned where the Wrangler JL kind of came out. It was the first split year of Jeeps where they had a JK model and a JL model. And it just worked out where I'm like, cool, I'll get the JL, which is like the new Jeep, which I'll have to show you pictures of, because instead of Rubicon, mine says Rathicon. It's dope. I achieved that goal. I got my full-time job. I worked my ass off. I saved every penny. I bought myself, my dream car. here's the thing, and this is kind of good in the life lesson. It's like now what? I bought my car, like it's awesome, but now what? It's like, oh, you enjoy it and all that, but now what? Now what? I need to do something else, and it's like that's a hard way to live. It's a very difficult way to live because you always have to satisfy yourself, or other people or whatever the case may be. So after that, this is a couple of years ago at that point. I learned about this whole values versus goals kind of thing, and there's more fulfillment in values than there is goals. So if I didn't get my car, let's say, or whatever, let's just say I didn't achieve keycaps where I can't sell them. Did I make some friends along the way who align with my values? Bet you I did. So like that's important. So the end game isn't necessarily you're always going to have a new next end game. Like it doesn't end. Like it's crazy. And that's the way society is. But the main goal, the main thing behind this is values are the way I try to live my life instead of goal driven. But I still set goals though. You have to.
Yes. So, I hear you say your main objective is to be true to your values, true to yourself. And through this conversation, man, I feel that it's like your decision to focus on doing what you like, creating things that resonate with yourself, and then also your close friends now too, and making that a priority, like helping others with your work outside of keycaps. I definitely agree with you in that goals are important to have. And it's also important to understand your underlying principles, your true values that will also help you with these goals.
I think it's important.
What advice would you give yourself looking back when you were starting out with caps?
I don't know. I don't know if I have advice to say. There's a lot of things I wish I knew. I guess the only advice would be to not be afraid to reach out to people and ask questions. You might get shot down, you might not get a response, but I know there's also a large group of people that will give you a response, which will help insanely. I would not be here without, for example, Loki. He helped me so much. Lorraine, my Naya, I don't know if anybody knows her or her in the community. Amazing human being. Tim, Dylan, and Mike. There's so many more people, but I don't know all of their hashtags or usernames or whatever. I'm pretty bad with that stuff. But again, I know them as they're not Instagram names anymore. They're humans and they're friends and it's weird. It's pretty cool. I wish they all lived closer. Again, it shows that interconnectedness, of all of, people. It's just, it's cool.
Do you have any morning or daily routines?
I think my whole 24 hours is a routine, man. Literally. I am naturally a very anxious person. So routine for me is super important. Do I have anything super unique? Probably not, but I know exactly what I'm doing almost every part of the day. And typically it's it's working, but it's on purpose. It's purposeful. It's I don't necessarily have to be down here working. But for me, I know if I sit down and just stop, I'll think too much, and that's not good. So for me, I like having a routine. I like having a schedule, but it would also be nice to have a little bit more time to just be without anything, no phone, no technology, just be. I'm excited for summer because I'm going to go camping a lot. I love camping. I love, nature and all that stuff. I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to that, but I'm super hyped just to be out in nature and I'll turn just to turn the phone off and just, even if it's a day or 2 days, and just, I am the opposite of grounded. So for me, camping is something that will bring me back to being grounded and yeah.
like turn off the noise.
Yeah, we were talking about hobbies before, but like, I love that stuff. Actually, I've been looking for a camper, but I mean, I'm old school with tents still, but I might buy a little tiny, what are those called? Like the teardrop ones to pull on the Jeep.
Like a trailer.
I was gonna get a rooftop tent.
RV.
Yeah, like one of those. But I was for the longest time I wanted the rooftop tent. That was like a dream of mine. But they're really expensive. You could buy an RV for the price. It's insane. Yeah, it's like $5,000 for a freaking tent. It's insane. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, I definitely plan on going. I'm doing a ton of camping on weekends, and hopefully it doesn't interfere with casting, and I'll come up with a nice schedule for that.
And there's definitely something to be said about being surrounded by nature, no devices.
Yeah, we don't do that enough. None of us do. And I think that's part of anxiety. I know it's part of my anxiety, and I got plenty of other reasons, but yeah, I think nature helps. Art, and what we do. It's like one of those dream type of jobs, even though this is not a full-time job, or not yet, or maybe it never will be, and that's okay. But this is one of those, like, I'm earning some sort of additional income, but I'm doing something I love, like literally love, like, and this, like, what? Not many people can say that. It's super dope. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing on my full-time job or career. I love helping people and all that, but there's also, you get to a point where you also need to help yourself, or you need a break from that, for sure. Hence, where maybe full-time artisan for a little bit and do some private practice on the side might be a new thing of mine in the future, possibly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you cook up.
Gonna be a tough one.
Yes. One of my last questions is, do you have any parting thoughts, advice, or any requests that you'd like to share or impart with the audience? Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to throw this into several different directions for sure. And like one thing I would say is, for me, when I do something, I definitely go all in. It has my full attention for sure. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Probably a combo of both. I know it's definitely a tough one. But when it comes to artisans, like, I do love it. It is part of me. Like, my family will joke around and call me Rath. I'll have my little brother's friends come over and be like, so can I have a couple keycaps? Like, go ahead. I'll join my brother's Discord to play video games. They're like, oh my God, it's Rathcaps. Like joking, but like, it's funny. Like, I am have become Rath. And this wasn't a question, but I'll throw this in. I think some people know this too, like how I came up with Rath. Doc, come on, man. First question.
I was thinking about that as soon as you said Rath. I was like, how did I not ask? Yeah, please.
I kind of want to know about your name now. I can go first though. So basically, I used to love World of Warcraft. I was a Night Elf Druid. I remember watching a YouTube video when I was a super young kid, when I couldn't even, actually my grandmother Mona, she bought me a PC, and she paid for my first sub for WoW, because my parents wouldn't do it, because it was unheard of to pay for a monthly subscription to a video game. Dude, that was unheard of at the time. And I was mad young. I was probably 12 or 13. And she bought me a computer. She paid for this first month of a sub or two, whatever it was. But all right, long story short here, I remember looking up World of Warcraft videos, because I started at the end of vanilla WoW, and mainly I played in PC, but I saw this guy playing. His name was Rathmoon. He was Night Elf Druid. He had the coolest endgame gear. I was so freaking sick, man. This guy was so cool. The YouTube video was sick. The best music. I still watch it, man. This is 20 years later. I still watch that video. It's the most hyped video ever. I love it. It brings me back. It's straight up nostalgia. But when I was able to finally play the game, I was on my own server. I was on a different server, obviously. So I did the name Rathmoon, because that's what the guy had. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So essentially, I used Rath, the RATH, so without the W, for the longest time, obviously until now, for every game. I always use Rath and then something else. So, the Druid worked out. He had a Moonfire was an ability, and Rath was an ability. So Wrath Moon was a combo. So if you notice my logo, it's a moon. It's a moon, yeah. So I forget someone helped design it. I didn't design it. Someone designed it, and then I had a good friend who re-edited the whole thing to make it super crisp and nice and stuff like that. But essentially, what I said is I want a moon because secretly my name is Wrath Moon. So we got Wrath and we got Moon.
The origin story.
Yeah, that's how I was born. But yeah, any MMO, MMOs are my favorite type of games for sure. I mean, they take a lot of time now, and it's also a dead genre at this point, but it's coming back. It's coming back. There's a couple on my radar that will bring it back maybe. But yeah, Wrath. So if you ever see a Wrath something in a video game, it might be me.
Give him a chat. See what's up.
Yeah. Oh god. So so that I don't know how we're gonna add that, but okay, let's go back to.
Oh no, that was perfect.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to throw in the. All right, I know where I can go with this. So one thing that and this goes to everybody, anybody who's listening, some people. And everybody that you look up to, some people look like they have it all together, or they know what they're doing, or I want to be like that guy or whatever. I mean, that's awesome to have, but then there's also the side that people don't see. You don't see my thoughts on Instagram posts. You might see what I don't know, whatever. But I definitely struggle with anxiety, depression, mental health stuff. I'm okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine, but it's not an easy thing, for sure. And I think most people would assume that, certain people have things together. And I guess the point of this is saying you're not alone. I think there's this overwhelming consciousness of everyone is connected, and I really believe that. And I think we all struggle with things, and it's okay to reach out, and we all can relate. I think existence is hard, is my point. It's not easy, and it's a weird thing, and it's something I've been going through lately. It's really bad, actually. But when I was a kid growing up, everything was, kind of what we talked about with Alan Watts. You just go through these stages, and then all of a sudden, you're just plopped out into the world. It's just why am I here? Who am I? What is existence? What happens next? All that kind of stuff. So that's all stuff I really enjoy, reading about and learning about. But there is a bigger picture, and I really do believe in karma. Actually, one of my other names was Karma Blows in video games. Shout out to Karma Blows if you see him anywhere. But I think it all goes back to just being a good person and being who you are. It's tough. It's not an easy world. So, you're not alone. And, if a keycap can make someone feel happy or a little bit better or bring a story to someone, that's the best part. Dude, it's crazy cool. It really is. It's just cool. It's cool that I'm able to do that, with my art. And so are you, and so are so many other artists and makers. It's cool, and it's not about a quick buck. It's obviously you want to be able to sustain your life and your lifestyle, but I mean, there's a bigger picture behind it all too.
It's the people.
Yeah, man. Community. Too many good friends. Can't afford to make enough keycaps.
You're making too many friends, dude. I want to ask,
Yeah.
have you found anything in particular to help with your anxiety or depression? You mentioned the the help you found with sculpting and both with routine. I was wondering if you could
Sure.
speak
So
more on that.
I've definitely I've definitely done counseling. Like I've had my own counselors. I currently have my own psychiatrist. I've tried medications and stuff like that. It's a process, just like it is making a keycap. It's a process, and certain times I'm happy with this direction, and certain times I'm not. Um, but again, it's okay to get these kind of assistances. There's nothing wrong with taking a medication if you need it. There's nothing wrong with not taking a medication. It's just I'm not here to promote or not promote. It's just saying sometimes we need help, and if it's talking to someone, or if it's medication, or if it's sculpting, or camping, or whatever. Not that it's stigmatized, which it is, but it's just like when you don't know about certain things, you're like, well, why don't you just become happy? And it's just like, yeah, there's also this genetic part where like some things are not, it just doesn't work that way. I guess is my point. Like, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Every day is an interesting journey. But like I said, I try to stay busy. I try different medications, that are prescribed, that we try different things, and certain times I'm okay and certain times I'm not okay. But I think that goes with all of us. That's not a me thing. I think it's a universal thing. And especially as you become more aware of your existence. I think when you're younger, you kind of just go through the motions, and these motions help you kind of get to the next stage. And then you get to that point where it's just like, oh, I'm here. What is my purpose? So yeah.
Point of reflection.
Yeah. This is something I think I feel like you're supposed to get when you're like in your 40s or 50s. Well, unfortunately I got it at like 27, but that's okay.
Unfortunately,
I'll make it work. Yeah, maybe it'll help me out later on. I don't know. It's all good. I'm here. I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing, and to make the all the friends that I have. It's I don't know. I can't thank whoever enough. So
it's definitely hard to express the level of like how fortunate and just I mean, personally for me, just the gratitude I felt. I mean, just being able to, like I said, just sit and talk with you. And I mean, I appreciate you sharing.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think being open about how to make a keycap, and into the openness of who we are as people. I think that's they're very much tied together. This is not I bought something on Amazon and I'll never go back there again. This is, and I say the same thing with actually my tattoo artist. The dude is an amazing person. I have great stories. I have a great time with him. Like, it's not just like, for example, if I went to a tattoo artist and his work was like the greatest in the world and he was a dick, I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care. There's more to the art than what you quote unquote see. It's like all the stuff that goes into it. There's inspiration behind almost everything you do, I'm sure, and I do. We talked about your sculpts and like these inner demons and these battles sometimes and these anger. I'm the same way with my stuff, man. I'm the same way. Like, there's a part of me in these caps for sure, and I hope when people are either looking at them or pressing them, it can be seen.
A good way to close is, where would be the best place for people to follow your craft, or the best place to get in touch?
So definitely Instagram at Rathcaps. I also just launched a website finally. Yeah, it's pretty legit. I know nothing about websites, but I'm doing my best. But it's got like links to like I don't know, TikTok and merchandise through Teespring. You can get Rath gear, which is actually pretty dope. I'm guilty for wearing my own clothes as pajamas nowadays, but it's pretty dope. My own wallpaper. I thought like look at this, it's so cool. Yeah, so like I you could do that. So yeah, but I don't have a stock or anything. Like you can't just go buy a cap. Again, it kind of goes back to the whole idea of an artisan keycap, and it looks like raffles are going to kind of be my my format for a long time. But that's okay. That's definitely okay. I'm okay with that, and people know if they really want one, they'll be able to get one. They know how to reach out. So yep, Rathcaps.
Vincent, you did say you reply to every message, so watch out, bro.
Oh shit, it's true. That's the problem.
Hey, I think it speaks to your emphasis on both your quality and the commitment you place to these relationships and the people and the community.
Yeah, it's a one-man company. You're the same way, man. It's a one-man company. And if your shit sucks, it's your fault. If your shit's great, it's on you. Good job. Yeah. That's the 100%. That's 100% way the way I look at it. Like it's 100% me. And if something's wrong, it's my effing fault. If it's not, I'm good. I'm my own boss when it comes to Rathcaps. It's the best feeling in the world. I always wanted to be a business owner. Like I knew that for like I didn't know what in what, but like for now it's this. And it's pretty cool because it's art and business and everything in one. It's funky, man.
Yo,
very blessed.
I agree. Funky in the best of ways.
Yeah.
And your authenticity for your approach shines through in definitely all that you've done. And I hope people have gotten a good taste of who you are and what your processes are through this conversation. So I just want to say, Vincent Rath, that I'm just super grateful for you sitting down to talk. And again, this is a thank you to all the audience for listening. So until next time, thanks for tuning in.